All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for coming out to Chipola College today for this very exciting announcement. I'd like to welcome our members of the media who are with us. We have Eric Dove from Chipola College TV, Mark Skinner from the Jackson County Times, Emma Stamps from WMBB. Hey, Emma. Julia Daniels from WJHG, and Ellery Fuqua is a sports information intern with Chipola College this summer, so we're glad to have her from the University of Florida. Go Seminoles. At this time, we would like to invite someone up to give a brief introduction, and he is the chairman of the District Board of Trustees here at Chipola College, Tommy Lassman.
Thank you, Dr. Craven. I just want to take the time to represent the board today and say how excited we are today to be here with such good news. It's always exciting when you have an opportunity to add to the coaching staff and to the athletic department with someone with such an unbelievable resume, a really unbelievable resume. Chipola is really fortunate. I had a few minutes of time with Coach earlier today, just he and I, and wanted him to understand, what Chipola means to all of us here in these communities, in the 5 areas that we serve. And as I talked to him, I kind of turned so that he could look up and see all those banners, and I finished the conversation with, there's a lot to live up here, lot to live up to here at Chipola, and he welcomed the challenge. And I just want to say on behalf of the board how excited we are that Coach Johnson has found the right person, the right fit to Chipola to add to this family, and most importantly, to add some wins to the total. So thank you for coming today, and I'm sure we've got more to add.
Thanks, Tommy. The longer I'm connected to Chipola College, the more I'm amazed at how many people in this country are connected to Chipola. And I want to give you one little example. In 1947, a guy named Milton Johnson played on Chipola's first basketball team. He ended up being a coach here for 3 decades. In 1993, Coach Johnson hired his replacement, and he was a guy named Kermit Davis, who's now at Ole Miss. I think you've heard of him. While Kermit was a coach at Middle Tennessee State, in 2002, he hired an energetic young coach named Donnie Tyndall to do some recruiting for him. And Donnie, as you know, went on to become a great Division I coach. But back to Milton Johnson. When he came to Chipola in 1947, his best friend was a guy named Hodges Martin, and he stayed his best friend his entire life. Hodges had a beautiful, intelligent daughter who attended Chipola, and she became a very big basketball fan. And to show you how all roads lead to Chipola, I would like to introduce Coach Milton Johnson's best friend's daughter, Chipola President Dr. Sarah Clemens.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for coming today. We're here to welcome the new basketball coach, Coach Tyndall. Chipola has a long tradition of excellence in academics and athletics. And as Brian said, we're gathered here in the Johnson Health Center, named after Coach Milton Johnson, who first put basketball on the national map for Chipola. At Chipola, we do have a history of changing lives and creating futures for students that choose to come to Chipola. Coach Tyndall will continue this legacy of success in basketball. He brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to our program. His goals for the program align with our goals for the players in the program. So thanks to the college family, you who are here today, and our community for your support as we continue our competitive spirit and winning tradition. And speaking of winning, I want to introduce our athletic director, the 3-time national championship winner, baseball coach, Jeff Johnson, who will introduce our new basketball coach.
Thank you, Dr. Clemens. It's an honor for me to be here today, and I'm excited about the opportunity to introduce our next men's head basketball coach. When we got into this process about 3 weeks ago, I never knew the amount of phone calls and the amount of people who had real good buddies that were great basketball coaches. And so it's been a really good process for me. Got got to meet a lot of people and talk to a lot of people that I really enjoyed speaking with. But, you know, getting into this thing, I was looking for somebody when we started this thing that was an experienced winner. And I think the guy we've chosen, I think he checks all those boxes. You know, his leadership skills, his discipline, everything else that we need here, we all thrive here with Chipola, I think he brings to the table. And, you know, we want maturity, all of those things, you know, work hand in hand. But, you know, looking at his resume, and I got a few things here, I think Brian might have passed it along. You know, you look at the resume, he's head coach at St. Catherine's, a junior college up in Kentucky, went 30-5 in his first year and went to Hutch, made it to Hutch in that. Then he went on to LSU as an assistant, Idaho. Then he was associate head coach at Middle Tennessee State with Kermit Davis, our very own Kermit, who was here with us for a while. Then he became the head coach at Morehead State. Morehead State, after we talked a lot, it's a similar town as Mariana. It's a town of 8,000 people. You know, he was able to take his team to the NCAA tournament there, and I'm not to steal his thunder. I'll let him talk a little bit about that maybe himself. And then he went to Southern Miss. At Southern Miss, he broke all the wins records at Southern Miss. I think won their first championship, Conference USA championship over there as well. Moved on to University of Tennessee, went 16-16 there in his first year. Became an associate athletic director after that at Tennessee Wesleyan, a little Division II NAIA school up in Tennessee. And then the last 4 years, he's been in the NBA, coaching the developmental league with the Raptors and the Detroit Pistons. But you know, it's my honor right now to introduce our next head men's basketball coach at Chipola, Donnie Tyndall.
Thank you. It's great to see everybody. I appreciate you coming out, and I want to start by first and foremost thanking Dr. Clemens, the board, and Coach Johnson. I think the way that they've handled the entire search process has been great, and I could not be more excited and humbled to be the new head basketball coach here at Chipola College. As I've heard mentioned already a time or two, there's been great coaches here over the years, starting with Coach Johnson, Coach Kermit Davis, one of my best friends and a guy I worked with for 4 years at LSU, and then for 4 years as his assistant at Middle Tennessee. There's been a ton of other great coaches that have come through the program and moved on to be Division I assistants and head coaches. So we hope to carry on the great tradition of good coaches and good leaders that have been here at Chipola. When you talk about the great coaches, you got to talk about the great players. So many great players that have come through this program. I used to come through Chipola every year recruiting my different stops of my coaching career, year in and year out. Great players, great teams, and again, we're just excited to continue to build and grow on that proud tradition. I think I would be remiss if I didn't say it was a tough decision to leave the Pistons organization because in particular of one man, and that's Coach Dwayne Casey. Coach Casey gave me an opportunity when I went through my situation at Tennessee, which I'll talk on here in a minute, to get in pro basketball. He was the head coach of the Toronto Raptors. He gave me an opportunity to be a G League assistant under Jerry Stackhouse in Toronto. We won the G League championship. When Coach Casey became the Detroit Pistons head coach, I actually grew up in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and he brought me there to lead the G League team and has been unbelievably kind to me the last 4 years. So it made the decision in some way, some shape or form a little bit tough for me. On the flip side of that, people would say, well, why would you leave a great NBA opportunity in your home city, your home state, to come to a junior college? Because this is very, very rare, and this is very, very unique, and this is a very, very special situation here at Chipola. I get that. You look at the banners up there, the great programs, the great coaches, the great teams. This is a storied tradition, and I'm very, very excited to be a part of that, and I think this is an opportunity I simply could not pass on. I had a couple opportunities over the last 2 years to be back in junior college that I passed on, but this is one quite simply with the leadership we have with Dr. Clemens and Coach Johnson. I want to be part of, and very, very blessed and fortunate to be part of that. And with that being said, all those great teams, all those great coaches, The one thing that hasn't been done yet here at Chipola, which is a part of why I decided to be the head coach here, is to win a national championship. I see Coach Franklin here, who's done it on the women's side, and Coach Johnson obviously has done it 3 times on the baseball side, and we're going to do everything in our power to do the same thing here on the men's side. With that being said, we're going to do it with good people. We're going to do it with guys that want to compete, guys that want to go to class, guys that value an education, guys that want to get in our community and represent our town, our campus community, and our program the exact right way. So those are the types of people we're going to recruit to Chipola College. When you talk about, well, Coach, how do you play? What's your style of play? First and foremost, we're going to play as hard or harder than any team that you've ever seen here at Chipola. And I know that's a pretty high goal, pretty lofty expectation, but our teams will compete every night as hard as you can possibly compete. We're gonna play an exciting style of basketball. My teams have always pressed in the full court, got after you on the defensive end. My 2 years at Southern Miss, we were in the top 20 in the country in steals both years. So it's going to be an exciting style of play that lends itself to getting out on the open floor, playing in transition. It's going to be a fan-friendly style of basketball. With that being said, you don't win championships if you can't defend, both play defense in the half court and then be really good offensively in the half court. So we'll be a disciplined, structured team at both ends of the floor as well. Community-wise, everywhere we've been, we've gotten the community, whether it's myself and my staff speaking to the civic clubs, spending time in the people. You know, I was telling Dr. Clemens earlier today, it's so important. I was coaching at Morehead State, where I played for 6 years, very similar town to Marianna. And then I call them a commoneer community. Like you need to be in the community and let people touch you and spend time with them. And then they get some ownership in your program and they feel a part of it. And that's what my staff and I will do. Our players will be in the middle schools, in the high schools, in the areas, and talking about the importance of education, talking about the importance of staying away from drugs and alcohol. All those things that we've done at prior stops, we'll do here to build our fan base and, again, make people feel part of our program. I think that's very, very important. Staff-wise, I'm going to put together a staff that, number one, they're going to represent our campus community, our program the exact right way. Guys that are family oriented, that they're in the community representing themselves the right way with class and dignity. Guys that love working with young players and developing them, and relentless recruiters. Obviously, there's nothing more important than getting the best players you can possibly get, but these guys are going to be hard workers that are community oriented and love working with young people. I think this, the elephant in the room everyone would probably want to talk about or ask about is, okay, Coach, well, what happened at Tennessee? Why are you not coaching the NCAA, et cetera? And that's something that is just part of my story. Everybody in life goes through different adversities or different things that hit them right between the eyes, for lack of a better term. I went through a situation at Tennessee where we had NCAA violations at Southern Miss. I could bore you with a long 2-hour story. Do I agree with the penalty that was given? 100% no. But with that being said, do I take full responsibility because things happened under my watch? 100% yes. They were on my watch. I've never wavered from that. I was responsible. I've suffered the penalty and the consequences. And we've tried to look ahead and not to look back. Were there some trying, tough, dark days early on? Absolutely. But any of you that have been through some tough challenges in your life, just like I tell my 2 daughters, like I tell my players, you're judged on how you deal with adversity. And I think we've scrapped and clawed and we're on our way back. And with that being said, I'm very thankful and appreciative to Chipola College and the administration, the leadership here, to give me this opportunity to do, again, what I love to do at a very high level. So with that being said, Again, thank you to everybody involved for this opportunity. I can guarantee you we're going to make everybody proud. Some people have already asked me, Coach, what can I do to help? What can I do to make it easier for you? The only thing I'm telling people right now is I want to see you at every single home game. And then if we start winning a little bit and doing right by what I've told you in regard to how hard we play and how exciting and fun we are to watch, then I'm going to challenge you to come on the road and watch us on at some away games too. So again, I just want to say thank you. We're very, very appreciative and humbled to be here and look forward to some great success down the road. Thank you very much.
You want to ask a few questions?
Yes.
Don't make them too tough, because I don't answer them real well if they're tough.
Hey there, Coach. Emma Stamps here at News 13, based in Panama City. Can you discuss, do you have plans to meet with those returning players? And then what are your plans with recruiting? Obviously, a little bit behind the schedule on that.
Yeah, I think anything, the most important thing when you take a program over is obviously the returning players. I went through a coaching change in college, and I know that the anxiety and kind of the unsuredness about a new coach coming in, there's going to be a lot of anxiety from those young guys. I get it. So I've already talked with most of them, if not all, by phone. I'm going to plan to go and see as many as I can, or get a few of them to campus and visit with them and their families, make sure they know how important they are to our future plans. And then obviously with recruiting, we started right away yesterday, making phone calls, setting up some visits, different things. I think the one thing that probably separates me from a lot of guys is my experience at the Division I level. I have a ton of friends, former assistants that are still in the profession that are going to go out of their way to try to help us. They understand that this is a great program. You look around at the facilities, get a beautiful campus, the tradition of winning. Like, they're going to want to send their players here, not just because of me, but because of everything else. So we'll hit the ground running. Some people are going to say, well, you got a late start. We probably don't have great high expectations in year one. That won't be, there's nothing further from the truth of how we'll approach things. We're going to get the best players we can in here and expect to be very, very competitive come November.
Hey, Coach. This is Jen Southern, Julie Daniels. I just want to kind of talk to you about how you guys are going to be practicing this summer, whenever you get a chance to, and how you're going to be catching up because of the time for also in the spring.
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, Dr. Clemens and Coach Johnson and I met this morning, and that was one of the topics that we talked about. You know, with this COVID situation, it's been crazy for everybody, whether it's the basketball program or the chemistry department. It's there's a lot of challenges out there, and you're trying to finesse your way around things and do the best you can, whether it's getting a kid to campus for a visit, maybe it's having 2 or 3 kids around to get some summer workouts. There's going to be several different options. I don't know how much I'm at liberty to talk about or not in regard to some online courses and different things in that regard. But we're going to do everything we can. We have, you know, great leadership here in Dr. Clemens that'll kind of put us on the right pathway with however our players can be here. If that's the way it shakes out, to take classes online or virtual classes, and then get them in the gym as much as we're allowed, even if that happens to be in smaller groups, etc. But it'll probably be hard to keep coaches and players out of the gym come September.
And with taking St. Catherine to Hutch, how much is that going to help, obviously, with the ultimate goal being to bring a national title back here? Just telling the players, hey, I've been there before, I know what it takes to get there.
Well, I was a young coach. I was 25 years old. We took over St. Catherine. It was a small gym with 5 rows of bleachers on one side. There were 150 students in the entire school. Everyone's allowed 15 scholarships. Our school had 6. And the lady that hired me was the former governor of Kentucky, Mrs. Martha Lane Collins. And she told me, I was 24 when I got the job, 25 when we went to Hutch, and she said, Coach, we don't have high expectations here. If somehow you can get the team to Hutch, they've never been. My first contract was $19,000. She goes, if you can get us to Hutch for the first time in the history of the school, we're going to give you a $1,000 bonus. You'll make $20,000. So Needless to say, we went on to have a great year, went to Hutch, and I'll tell you a cute little story. They'd never been, Coach, so there was no money in the budget. Obviously, Kentucky's a pretty good hike to get to Hutchinson, Kansas. We had no money in the budget for a bus, no money for hotel rooms. We literally, the week we won the regional championship, were out downtown Springfield, Kentucky doing bucket drops, trying to raise money so we could get the bus and hotels to get to Kansas. So coaches assured me we got a bus ready if we get back to Hutch this year. But I think my 25 years of experience through college, all levels, and in the NBA have prepared me to hopefully make another run. With that being said, I know how great this Panhandle Conference is, how strong the region is here in Florida, so it's not going to be easy. But I think my coaching and life experiences over the last 25 years will hopefully have us ready to roll.
One more thing from me. What are some things, so you've been here recruiting, what are some things specifically, other than its similarity to other places you've been, about, the area of the Panhandle that you like?
Could you repeat that for me?
Yeah.
I think I heard it.
What are just some things about this area that you liked from being here on recruiting trips, or what you knew about the area, other than it's, familiar to other places you've been as well?
Well, I think anytime you're recruiting a young man that happens to be out of state, to be able to sell the state of Florida, the weather, and then I think you go immediately to the proud tradition, the commitment to winning, and the fan base here at Chipola. There's not a lot of junior colleges in the country that have the resources, the facilities, coupled with the fan support at the junior college level. They just don't. So I think that's going to be a huge selling point. I think you sell the league, how good the Panhandle Conference is, that you're going to be playing against Division I players every single night, and that the league is heavily recruited by Division I schools. And then I think from a personal standpoint, you sell the fact that I developed and coached guys to get them to the NBA in college, and then the last 4 years, I've worked out Derrick Rose in the summer, Blake Griffin in the summer, Fred VanVleet, who, with the Raptors in the summer. Those are guys that I've had in practice and worked them out and helped coach. So those type of experiences obviously are going to be impressive to young guys, because that's the goal and aspiration of most young men, to get to that level, whether it's Division I or after Division I onto the NBA.
I think my last question really is, with all the adversity that you faced and all the adversity that the players here at Chipola have faced, how do you plan on getting them motivated and getting them to believe that they can make it to Hutch?
This fan is here. Could you repeat that just a little louder?
I just wanted to say, with all the adversity that you've faced and all the adversity that these players have faced, not only with the pandemic but also with the hurricane and things like that, how do you plan on getting them motivated enough to be able to make it to Hutch?
Well, I think that's the job of any coach. First and foremost, you have to learn your players. Most guys are motivated differently. You're not going to push the same button with player one as you are with player two. You're going to have to get to know them, and that's called relationship building. And I think that's always been a strength of mine. I think when you've been through some things I have in my career and in my life, and you're able to give them examples, whether it's collectively as a group or behind closed doors in a one-on-one setting, and be able to say, you know what, I know you're having a tough time. Right now, life's not easy. Well, I've been through some tough, challenging times myself. And let me tell you how I had to deal with it. It's day by day. It's being tough. It's being resilient. It's being strong-minded. All those things that I've been through in my coaching career and in my life that I can help explain to a young man, and just be an extension of mom and dad or the high school coach. Motivating young people, I don't mean this arrogantly, has never been an issue for me. I think the biggest thing is they have to know you, believe in you, and trust you, and that comes through spending time and getting to know them. And our players will see right away, they will get tough love from me. That's just who I am and how I do it, but they'll know I care about them and love them, and once they know that, they're usually pretty motivated.
Anything else, Brian?
Could we get some pictures of y'all? And could we ask David Johnson, the Appreciation Club president, to come down and be in the picture with everybody? And y'all stand as close together as you're comfortable. I don't want to force that on anybody. But David, can you come on this side?
David, you get in the middle, or get on the phone.
Coach, if you'll come right up to the floor up here.
Right here.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
All right. Close as you want to get. That'll be.